What's going on, guys? Nathan Lombardo here with Lambo Media, joined by two very special guests, very talented middle infielders. One in Isaac Nunez, a Florida middle infielder, and the other Harrison Ray. He is a 2020 MLB prospect and plays for Vanderbilt. Thank you guys for joining. How you guys doing?
Good, bro. Chilling.
I'm good. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, of course. Thank you guys for joining. So first and foremost, like I mentioned a bit earlier, both of you guys are obviously middle infielders. Isaac, I'll start it off with you. What do you think differentiated you from the other middle infielders in your high school graduation class and even at Florida?
I don't think very much separated me from a lot of different guys. I think especially when you get to a certain age and you realize that, especially at SEC level, everyone's good. You know what I mean? Everyone has their own ups and everyone has their own downs. You kind of forget about all those accolades that guys go through in high school. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, he was a PG All-American, or he was this, or he was that. In college, I know Harrison can speak for this as well. Guys don't really care, what you did in high school. So,
Right.
I mean, personally, I feel like, I don't know, my upbringing is kind of what, separated me from a lot of guys, just as far as my family goes and kind of, just the path that me and my dad took from moving from New York my sophomore year to Lake Brantley, and then having to fill in the shoes of Harrison, who graduated the year before me, and then so now it was my job to go there and kind of do what he did the year before and kind of keep that going.
Right. Yeah, you mentioned you moved away from your family with just your dad. We'll talk about that a little later. But I want to cover this topic with you, Harry. Isaac mentioned a little bit, but how everyone is very talented at your guys' level. But what do you think differentiated you from the other middle infielders?
Um, I would say I think the biggest thing is once you get at this level in college baseball and then SEC, which is in my picture, in my opinion, a different level of baseball. It's really it comes down to the little things and how well you can do the little things. So I think teams look for guys that they think will fit their style of play. So I don't think it's oh, a guy at Tennessee or a guy at Missouri is better than one another. They could be the same player. It's just Tennessee's looking for something different than what Missouri's looking for.
Right.
So at that aspect, I think the level of play is just it's so high in the margin of like you don't see like, oh, he's so much better than everybody else. Everybody's basically at the same level. So it just really comes down to little things, how well certain guys do little things. That's really what makes those guys you're like, oh, okay, he's pretty good. He just does the little things so well that everything else just looks so good when he
Right.
does it.
Did you guys notice a major difference in skill set when transitioning from high school to college ball?
Yeah.
Obviously, I just, again, a lot of guys feel like they can talk about all like their accolades that they had in high school and talk about how good they did and how they hit 15 bombs, 20 bombs, whatever it is they did in high school. But again, at the next level, guys can care less about what you did the year before. It's about what can you bring to the program. And personally speaking, at UF, it's obviously we had a lot of guys who were big draft picks that were coming in. We had a lot of guys who were PG All Americans, Under Armour All Americans, USA, whatever it is. And then you had the group of guys who kind of didn't have those things, who didn't have those same accolades. But it all depends on the program. Like Harrison talked about before, what can you bring to the table to help your team go to Omaha? That's when you kind of realize that you're not playing for yourself anymore. You're playing for the boys. You're playing for the guys who want to go to Omaha and go far. And obviously Harrison has 2 rings, so he's chilling. But for guys who kind of want to see themselves playing Omaha, playing in front of 15, 20,000 people, that's a kid's dream. So I'm personally speaking, I'm happy that I'm at a school like UF where we have a chance to kind of go that far and play against big schools.
Most definitely. How's online school for you guys? Because you guys obviously weren't able to stay on campus.
Harrison?
Yeah, no, I had what 4 or 5 classes I had to finish online, so it wasn't really too bad for me. I got got them all done. So I've officially graduated. So I'm chilling now.
Nice. I mean, for me, all my classes in the spring were online already. So, I mean, I finished school like a month ago, but I mean, it was easy. I'm a big virtual school fan. Even at like Brantley, my sophomore, junior, and senior year, I had only 3 classes at Brantley. The rest were all Florida virtual school. A lot of guys do that. I think a lot of parents also say like, oh, my kid is not having a full schedule at school, this, and that. But honestly, just there's so many kids now who are playing at the next level who are in school for 1 or 2 classes, and then the rest are all online virtual school. It was easy for me.
So, Harry, for you, because you obviously experienced on-campus school, like although Isaac experienced just online classes. Harry, did you notice was it harder online or was it easier?
I think for me at the stage I was at, it was kind of easier because a lot of my professors realized that it was my last semester, and I don't think any of them wanted to be the one to fail that kid, fail the senior, and make him have to come back. So I think online for me was easier. But I mean, Vanderbilt in general is not an easy school. So going to class and schoolwork and all that type of stuff is very challenging and very tricky. So I definitely think that going forward, I don't know what they're gonna do, whether they do stay online, whether they don't. I think it's gonna be challenging regardless. So I will say, if anybody is interested in going to Vanderbilt, that you definitely need to. You can't be somebody who doesn't want to do work, because if you don't, then you're not gonna want to be there for long. So.
Right. How big was academics for you guys in high school? Because obviously that's a huge thing if you want to go to a big school at the Division I level. How big was that for you guys in high school?
I mean, we went to the same high school, so I no, I mean, school's okay.
Wasn't big for me, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I mean, let me put it very simple. School is very important in a lot of ways. For me personally, school was not easy for me, right? Even to this day, I still have, extra tutoring, all that stuff. So I'm not gonna lie to you and say like, oh, I was a 4.0 student, when that's not the truth at all. I mean, I put my work in that I had to, but at the same time, I think just the way my family, or should I say my father, raised me, it was very sports, very baseball oriented. And so, he kind of left school up to me and let me deal with school. And then he took care of the baseball part, which is, I don't know, I guess some parents could say it's bad parenting. Some parents could say it's good parenting. I can care less. But at the same time, that was me.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I say that it was never like big to me, but like in high school, I think I had like a 3.5, 3.6, something around there. So it's not like I just didn't care about it and didn't do schoolwork. I did it, but like Isaac said, I wouldn't say like I had a good balance, but I was the kid that I never really liked school, and I never really found it interesting. And so I just did it to get by and did what I had to do to keep my 3.5, 3.6, whatever the number was out of high school, and so that I can be able to go to college. And then once I ended up going to Vanderbilt, didn't realize what I was getting into at the time. And then when I got on campus that first fall semester, and I was in the classes, and I was just like, I'm not going to make it these 4 years or 3 years or however long I have to be here. I was so just like, holy cow. So I ended up changing my way I look at school, and I definitely looked at it to try and help myself get better in different aspects and just broaden and see things from different perspectives. So I do think that it really did help me look at situations differently. So I am appreciative of that.
Yeah, and really quick, just to tag on, is that if I can go back in time to when I first moved to Florida, my sophomore year, I look at some guys now in college that I'm with. I don't want to say any names in particular, but there are some guys who, when we get our, spending money, you should say, they're getting checks. right? I'm getting like gas money compared to them, and that's because they went hard in high school and they got more scholarships than I did, and they got a lot more financial aid than I did. That was just me in high school, not thinking much about it. But if I can go back in time, oof, I would have went so hard in high school that when I got those nice checks, it would have been perfect for me.
Right. And to move on from the academics aspect of things, Harry, unfortunately, your senior season obviously got cut short due to this pandemic, but the NCAA did extend eligibility for seniors, and obviously the MLB draft is coming up. Have you made that decision yet? And how do you plan on what route do you plan on taking for next season?
Yeah, they did. They made the decision probably about a couple weeks ago. And for me, I just it was really a no-brainer. I had done my 4 years. I really wasn't. I don't have any aspirations of going to grad school at this time now. So to me, it was simple. I'm gonna go in the draft, and if I go in the draft, I go in the draft. If not, sign with somebody and go play pro ball. Because at the end of the day, that's really everything I've wanted to do since I was younger was play pro ball. So I have this degree in my back pocket now. So now I can go play for however long I need to or want to. And then when I'm ready to put it away, then I could pull that degree out and use that in any aspect or field that I want to. So it's a thing to have in a good little safety net to have in my back pocket, I'd say.
Right. Congrats on that dominant four-year journey at Vanderbilt, both academics and baseball wise. And so, Isaac, you have an interesting journey. You were born in New York, but then moved to Florida to focus on your baseball dreams with only your dad, I believe. How is that mentally for you, to knowing that you're going away from your family and moving to a different state for baseball?
Good question. So my freshman year, I went to a boarding school in New York, and it was called Trinity Paulding. It was 250 all boys, and it was the first time leaving home, and I was 15 years old. So that's when I really got my first experience of living away from my parents. But again, I was only like an hour drive from back home, so it was nothing for me. But the day before we decided to move to Florida, me and my dad were kind of just sitting in the living room, and at boarding school you had to play 3 sports, and I didn't want to do that. I just wanted to play baseball. And I told him, I feel like I'm not progressing at all at this school. It's fun, it's a great time to be there, but I don't want to do this anymore. If it's going to be at this school, I want to become a better baseball player. And he said, all right, so let's move to Florida. That's where it's at. That's where I have some family here, very small, but I have some family here. He said, let's move to Florida. I swear to God, the next day we were packed the bags and we were traveling to Florida. But again, me thinking, hey, we're gonna come back. I'm gonna go back, see my mom, see my brother. I didn't see my mom for the whole year, or my brother, and that was the hardest part, I think, of leaving my family, was the fact that my mother and my brother were the biggest inspirations in my life, that I wouldn't be able to see them for I don't know how long. And just the days where I felt like, man, like I really want to see my mom, or I really want to spend time with my brother. It wasn't there, and they couldn't visit either because they were back home. My brother's in college back home. So that was the hardest part. And then, making the decision of, hey, do I want to go to Lake Brantley? My dad was offered the assistant head coach job at Lyman High School, and so it was like, should I go to Lyman and be with him and do that, or should I go to Brantley, which is more of a powerhouse, dominant baseball school compared to all the schools in our area? So that was the hardest decision. So when I decided I wanted to go to Brantley, my dad decided not to take the job at Lyman and kind of just help me along the way at Brantley. And then I think Brantley being the hardest part of everything. Why I say Brantley was the hardest part of everything is because, I don't know, Harrison probably knows this as well, is that Brantley has a lot of cliques. It has a lot of its groups. It has a lot of its, kids who've been playing together since they were, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, and that's their friend group. Right. They're not gonna. I don't want to say they're not gonna accept, but it was harder for me to be accepted, knowing that I'm a new kid. Number one, number two, I don't know any of these kids, and these kids have been playing baseball together their whole lives. So that's that. And three, this kid, his name is Logan Keller, and this kid's name is Nick Wells, and the coach came up to me when I took my tour of the school, I should say. He came up to me and he was basically saying, like, we already have 2 shortstops. If you don't play this year, I get that. We also had a 2016 class that had 9 Division I guys leave the school. Obviously, Harrison was a part of that class, and he was a shortstop the year before. So that too was also big shoes to fill. It kind of was like, how am I going to go against a kid the year before who was an SEC short infielder, and now going against 2 kids who were born and raised Brantley boys. You know what I'm saying? They were the next generation of the school. But obviously, it made all the more easier for me to kind of humble myself and say, you know what, this is going to be my school, my shortstop, my job. And I always tell myself, as a little motivation, I'm going to be the best number 9 to ever leave Brantley.
Right.
Right, Harrison?
Yeah.
Okay, so here's a backstory real quick. Originally, when I got to Brantley, I was number 22, but number 22 was on the wall. And I was like, damn, I don't want to be, Ricky Weeks, another 22. So let me go for a number that's not on the wall. And obviously, all the other numbers were taken except number 9. Harrison graduated number 9, and so when he graduated, I was like, I'm gonna take number 9 and kind of continue the number 9 shortstop role until it goes out. And now I know number 9 is another kid at Brantley now who plays infield. I don't know, whatever. But I was like, yeah, you know what? That's gonna be me. I want to be the next number 9 on the wall. But I didn't know Harrison at the time, and I didn't know that was his number before, and I didn't know any of that. But so when I heard that he was number 9 and he was a shortstop and he's playing at Vanderbilt, I was like, shh, that's gonna be me in the next couple years. I'm gonna be number 9. I'm gonna be SEC school and continue that journey along the way. But that's just more motivation for myself. I know obviously Harrison has his own motivations, but that's kind of what fueled my fire. One is to make my family proud back home, and 2 to be one of the best to ever leave our area, because everyone knows, if you know Lake Brantley, you know of the 15, 20 MLB guys that come to our school and left our school. So me and Harrison are just a part of that journey as well. So yeah. Sorry for the long neglected answer.
No, you're good.
It was hard.
I love it. So you and your dad just talked about moving one day, and then the next day you just decided to go?
Yeah, I mean, it was harder on my mom because she was like, "What are you guys doing?" And my dad's like, "We'll be back. We're just gonna go to Florida, play travel ball." And my travel team was already traveling along the way up there. They're from Georgia, but they were going like all the way up to Florida, all the way back down. So when we were traveling, we just got to Florida and we just stood there. We didn't finish the rest of the tournament. We just stood at Florida and was like, "All right, we're staying here, whatever." And I was like, "All right, I don't mind." So it was great though.
Yeah. Did you make daily phone calls to your brother and mom?
Honestly, no. It's just, even when I was at boarding school, I didn't really, kind of communicate with them as much, and that wasn't just me being the way I am or them being like that. It was just time, scheduling, and then it's just continued like that. But obviously, me and my father's relationship is much different than me and my mom's and my brother's relationship. But
right.
I didn't really communicate that much as I should have. Now I do.
Right. So to move on from that, Harry, you obviously recently helped Vanderbilt to a 2019 national championship. Congrats on that. What about that team was so special, and what about the chemistry was so special?
I think that team, I think what a lot of people don't realize is that 2019 team, we had basically been playing together for 2 years now. So we lost in the Super Regional the year before to Mississippi State in the last game of the Super Regional. It was crazy, and we had only lost. The only kid that left that team, position player wise, was the shortstop. Everybody else that was playing on that field came back the next year.
That was Dansby, right?
For us, no, this was Connor. It was Connor Kaiser. So this was my sophomore year. So we lost Connor. He was a junior. So all the other position player juniors, they ended up coming back, and then we had me as I was a junior now. Austin Martin was a sophomore. Pat DeMarco was a sophomore. Philip Clark was a sophomore. Ty Duvall was a junior. So, and then we had the seniors, Ethan, Julian, Steven. So we had all those guys. So for us, it was literally the same team, and we had been playing together for 2 years. We knew each other. It wasn't like awkward like trying to get to know each other. Like, yeah, we had freshmen come in, but they weren't coming in like really. They knew what they were getting into. They were coming into a team that had been together. Everybody, we say that we have a thing that every position is rented in, and there's no like given positions. But in a case like that, it was almost like they knew that they weren't getting on the field that year unless it was injury or something like that, because we had everybody from the year before and we knew what we wanted to do. And I just think that the motivation of like seeing somebody like beat you on your own field and end up going to where you wanted to go, I just think that that's just, I think everybody, all the guys that came back, remembered just watching them dogpile and watching them go crazy on our field. And like, I think everybody burned that to memory and didn't ever want to have that feeling again. So, I guess that's one part of it, and then just the other part is just it was the just maturity for that first part. We were just extremely mature. A lead, we could be down by 10, we would not care. We were gonna come back and win somehow. There was a sense of calm to the team that we never felt like we were out of any game, or we never, even if we were beating somebody 15-0, we never started just throwing stuff away, throwing at bats away, just giving them free stuff. We still continued to like, all right, it's 15, let's make it 20. So it was just, I think the mindset of that team was something that I've never been a part of until then.
Right. I saw that little debate with you and Xavier Turner on Diamonds on the Air about who's the better Vanderbilt team, the 2014 or the 2019 team. Who do you think who could win?
I think it's gonna be a good game. I biased or unbiased, however you want to look at it. I think the 2019 team wins. Just me personally, but everybody's going to have their own opinion. If they were on the 2014 team, they probably think they were going to win. Everybody on the 2019 team thinks we're going to win. So I think you're probably going to have to go outside of somebody on one of the teams, probably to the coaching staff. They're probably the best bet for you because they looked at, especially like Corbs or Brownie, because they were on both of those teams. So they could really let you know. But, yeah, no, I think we would win.
Yeah. So Isaac, you obviously haven't had as much experience as Harry in SEC baseball, but out of the experience you've had at Florida, what has been the biggest takeaway from your years at Florida?
That's hard because again it was so limited, but I kind of want to say like the feeling of knowing that you have guys around you who are very, very competitive at each other more than anything. So, yes, our goal at the end of the day was to win a team together at Omaha, but when it came time to practice or when it came time, I don't know, this is at Florida again. All schools are different, but at Florida, at practice, it was the most competitive, heated, a little hostile, but that's how our practices were ran. Some days were more fun than the others, but then there were a lot of days where we were all just very competitive with each other. Where we had, for example, we have a day where it's called like shit talking day, and basically we're allowed to kind of go at each other verbally the whole live 9-inning game, because we do inter squads in the 9-inning games. So that day was either we have positivity days or we have that kind of day. And so those practices are very fun because we kind of get in each other's necks and throats. And then, it's just the best man comes out alive. And then so those moments is what made our season this year, I want to say, successful, was because after all that, going at each other, when it came time to playing as one, we just clicked so fast. And it didn't hit me until probably like 2 weeks when, the quarantine, we were at home or sitting down, whatever. And it's like, damn, there's no baseball. There's no, even though when you're at school, it's like, I got practice. It's Saturday morning. I'm like, golly. But at the same time, it's what's 5 weeks later to this day is like, man, I can't wait to get back to school. So I think just the competitive nature at Florida, for example, is what kind of made the year for me more fun. So yeah,
Do those crap talking days ever get too personal?
way too personal.
Yeah.
Where at some points it's like we have I don't want to say any names, but guys come in after the days and we go in the locker room, and then one of our guys would, for example, one day one of our catchers walked up to a pitcher and was like face to face and was like in his face like going at it, and it was like, all right, it's kind of awkward, but at the same time it's like weeks later it's our Friday guy and the guy going at it, and it's like that's what we like.
Right. Yeah.
We also, by the way, we have a day. It's not throwing shots at Vandy, but it's a day. It's called what's it called? It's called I Wash Tuesdays, and it's basically we just kind of, it's not making fun of Vandy, but it kind of is, where like we'll hit in the cages and we'll get out the cage and like give a high five to the other guy before he goes in the cage. But that's just us messing around. I know other schools obviously have their things with other schools, but that's what we do.
Right. Do you have those type of practices, Harry?
What happened?
Do you have those type of practices, like Harry said, like those competitive versus more serious practices?
Yeah, I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but yeah, we do. I think Sully definitely tries to see what he can get from Corbs, but like Isaac said, like the competitiveness, like I think that's the thing that you have to have when you look at successful teams. If you're not competing against each other that hard day in and day out, you'll never raise the bar for anybody. And that's probably something I left out about that 2019 team. But that 2019 team, we talked so much crap to each other every single day. So like Isaac said, they had like a day where they talk shit like during the scrimmage. Like at Vandy, that is every day. I don't care who it's from Corbs, it's from everybody talks crap to and it's not like just coaches talk crap to kids. Everybody, players talk crap to coaches. It's vice versa. So it's everything coming at you. So it's a day in and day out. Just you have to be ready for it. And if you're not ready for it, that's why some guys just can't make it there, because it's daily, just people coming at your head. But it's not like in a way to like you talk crap, but at the end of it, that's your boy. Like I might talk crap to somebody and be all in his face during practice and stuff. Like once we get off practice, like I'm going to eat dinner with him. Like I'm going to hang out with him. I'm going to play video games with him. Like our relationship doesn't change because of stuff that's said on the field. Like, yeah, we might say some things on the field that we probably shouldn't say to each other, but at the end of the day, like that's my boy, like that's my brother. Like he's gonna be our boy. I've had plenty of guys where we've gotten in each other's faces on the field, and it's gotten pretty heated. And then literally after, right when we get off the field, we're going to eat. So it's like you get really, really into it, and that's just being competitive. Everybody wants to win, so you gonna talk crap, you gonna do whatever you got to do to win, and it might get hot. But right after we get off the field, like that's my boy, no matter what.
That's right. Crazy. It's crazy because my bad, just tag along.
No,
the shortstop spot was I kind of want to say at UF this year was open for whoever was coming in, because obviously we had Brady McConnell last year and he graduated, or he got drafted, and then this year we had Josh Rivera and I come into the school, and we were, I swear to you, neck and neck every single practice, where it wasn't like bad going back and forth, but at some points it was like, yo, are you guys okay? Like, you guys are really getting into it today. But that's just how it was for us. And then right after practice, either I was at his room or he was in my room. We were just chilling. And that's just, again, it's that, you realize that SEC level where you're not a little kid anymore. You know what I mean? There's no need for you to, drag stuff on. So it's like you do what you got to do on the field, and you get off the field and you realize, all right, you're still my boy. Even though we were neck and neck, like almost like, yo, see me after this kind of attitude with each other. At the end of the day, it was like, well, we were still boys, and it was like that the whole year. And then we kind of didn't talk about it until obviously later on, but that's just how it was for us.
Yeah. And I think that's what builds team chemistry as well. Like, I don't think the chemistry can be as great without competitiveness and some fights here and there. And to move it on to Harry, I talked to Isaac a little bit about his takeaways from his college experience so far. You've obviously had a little bit more experience than Isaac for SEC baseball at Vanderbilt. What have your biggest takeaways been from Vanderbilt?
From Vanderbilt, I will say, just probably work ethic. I've been around a lot of guys. I've seen a lot of first rounders. I've been around a lot of guys that came back that are in the big leagues now, and watching them and seeing like their routine of how they get ready or how they talking to them, like what little things do they do that helps them relax, or just any little thing like that. I think just trying to get some type of information out of them. I think that's the biggest thing that I'll take away is just trying to learn something every day. I think we have a lot in this world that feel like they know everything and they don't need to, or they feel like it's a shot at their self-esteem if they ask somebody a question. And I think when you're surrounded by so many good players, and you'd be foolish not to want to ask them what they did, like the Dansbys, Kyle Wrights, the Tony Kemps, all these big name guys are literally they're in our facility every day in the fall, and it's just like I can walk by them every day and not say anything, or I can stop when I have nothing to do and he's just chilling there and ask him a question that might take 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Like, who knows? It might turn into an hour conversation, but it's those little things, just trying to learn and pick somebody's brain and get better every day. And I think just like the SEC in general, just you got to be able to compete. And I think baseball is it's competing with yourself and then learning how to compete against somebody else, because I think those are two different things. When you want to compete against somebody else on another team and on your team, because I think that's a big thing in college baseball and then pro baseball too, is that you're not going to be the only shortstop on your team like you are in high school. When you're the shortstop, like nobody is going to try and take your spot. Like everybody knows that that's your spot. But
Right.
Then once you get to college and professional baseball, there's 2 and 3 guys that play the same position on each roster. So it's like you got to come to practice. You got to come to the field every day ready to compete and win a job. And so that's probably one of the biggest things that I'll take away from this is every day is you're trying to win a job no matter what. Every position is rented. Nobody has a job set in stone. Unless you're Derek Jeter of the Yankees, your job is up for grabs. So, and you got to go win it every day. So that's something that I'll definitely take from Vanderbilt and Coach Corbin.
Right. And you mentioned how many players from Vanderbilt have went on to get drafted. Obviously, the MLB draft is next month. Do you have any major expectations going into next month's draft?
No, I'm just seeing what happens. I'm gonna see what happens. You never know what could happen. We'll see.
Most definitely. So, Isaac, you're not only a star on the diamond, but you're also a host for a podcast for an app called Press Sports. Tell me what the podcast is all about and how that idea came about.
Yeah, I mean, so obviously a lot of people know what Press Sports is. Press Sports is obviously another social media platform that kind of promotes athletes around the world, kind of helps kids find coaches around their area or help coaches around the world. And so the point of the podcast was mainly to, one, kind of just kick it, make it more like a relaxed kind of podcast, and just, we had Anthony Servideo. We wanted Harrison, but Harrison never responded, which is fine. It's okay. We don't want to talk about that. We had a bunch of guys come on there, and the point of that was kind of to let those bigger name guys shed some light to the people who really want, information from, other people, for example. So, like, again, we had Servideo. and a lot of kids who look up to Servideo or want to be the next Ole Miss shortstop, why not hear words from him? And then so we also have coaches there as well to talk about the recruiting process, talk about the best way for a scout to notice you. It's cool. And then they also have bench talk, which is basically a kid named Cade. He talks to just a bunch of different high school kids and just kind of catch up and stuff like that. And then we're also starting a thing called Coach's Corner, where we interview MLB coaches. Minor league to professional coaches, as well as high school coaches, strength coaches. So strength coaches, like especially people like from Florida, Hunter Woods, to Jeff Hugara, to Tony Anderson, all the big name guys in our area who train kids. We want to get them and kind of talk about that. So I mean it's pretty cool. So definitely go check it out. Press Sports.
Yeah, for sure.
Self plug.
Yeah, that's a sweet concept. Are you guys doing anything different during quarantine that you guys weren't doing before?
Yeah, I mean, we weren't going as hard at these podcasts as we were before. I mean, we do like one every week before. Bench Talk wasn't a thing. Coach's Corner wasn't a thing. But now it's just becoming a really big, idea for us. And now it's coming towards where we're going to start doing, day in the life videos with players, travel, do that, as well as kind of do documentary on certain kids that we feel like deserve their story to be told. And that's one thing we didn't want it to make it more of just the big name guys do this whatever. We wanted to make it where it was like, hey, if you can be someone who doesn't have as big as a name, someone who doesn't have 10,000 followers on Instagram or whatever the case may be, we want you to share your story as well. Therefore we kind of made the story section where we let people fill out the online questionnaire, and we post their picture and their story. So that's pretty cool too.
Right. Harry, how about you? Have you found any new hobbies during this quarantine?
Well, since graduating, I definitely have stepped up my video game usage. So I've definitely been playing a lot more video games. Probably watching more documentaries and podcasts. Just trying to gain more information. Trying to make it not feel like school though. So that's really all I have been doing, apart from going to the field occasionally.
Right. And two things to wrap it up. Isaac, I'll start it off with you. Who would you say has the most swag on the field at Florida?
Me.
Any close contenders or no?
No. Nah, I'm guessing it. Let's see. Cal Greenfield, he has some drip. He's our catcher. Just because he's tatted from his neck to his foot. And so it just when he throws on a jersey, he's also pretty yoked. So it looks like whatever. Who else? Josh Rivera obviously has some drip with his hair. Also his tats as well is pretty cool. Jordan Butler has I don't want to say like drip, but he has like the slightest kind of like, all right, we kind of notice it.
Yeah.
Obviously, we have no one who's like Servideo or any of those dudes who are just like dripped out, but we have our fair share. Also, Cal Greenfield's sneaker collection is a beyond me. Just from the amount of Jordan 1s to Yeezys to just his sneaker collection. So he shows up to practice, he shows up to class, whatever, wearing like $400 or $500 pair of sneakers like every single time, different ones. So that's his drip. But I mean, obviously, I have the biggest drip.
Yeah, Harry, what about you at Vanderbilt?
I mean, apart from myself, I'd say I gotta think about this. Austin Martin, I will say Austin. He kind of gasses himself a little too much sometimes, but nah, he's got some drip. Kumar does too. I'm trying to not forget anybody. And then Carter Young. I'd say Carter's got a little drip to him too. That's really it though. That's all I could think of.
Yeah. So that wraps up everything I got for you guys. I really appreciate you guys taking the time out of your guys' day and coming to do this interview with me. You guys definitely didn't have to do that, but you guys decided to, and I really appreciate that. I wish you guys all the best and stay safe and healthy.
Thanks, bro.